Bang. Hey guys, here we go. Tarps Off Fight Club here at Tarps Off MMA. Chris Mancuso, Jack Gotzel, Jack. UFC 272 goes down next week, Saturday, March the 5th. Normally, we do a podcast and we talk about this. This is a special fight week. Jorge Gamebred Masvidal takes on Colby Chaos Covington, former friends, roommates, training partners at American Top Team, spent a ton of personal time together, turned mortal enemies. And one of the really cool things that fans and mediaites alike have got to experience this week is you're really starting to learn the backstory, because there was always chatter. Colby would say, oh, he's a Judas, he did this, and Masvidal, when he really doesn't like someone and he doesn't really feel like going into it and he's not selling a fight, he's just going to say like, yo, that guy's a bitch or whatever, and that's it. But now you're getting that full in-depth, more so from Masvidal. He comes out with the ESPN interview today. It was about 30 minutes. It was incredible. And, you really learn the story of the beef between Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. And it's remarkable. And I just think that for us, we have to make sure that the listeners and fans that we can catch understand just how deep and how awesome this is. Because there was a time where I even wondered, like, are these guys maybe hamming it up? Are they okay?
It was always me and him against the world and us two, but Jorge Masvidal has kind of drawn you that attention. It was always Colby saying that. It was never Masvidal saying, oh, it's us two against the world. Really.
Never.
It always came from Colby's side. And there were these comments that Colby's made in the media before the beef got real that maybe Jorge probably didn't like and wouldn't like.
Right. And that did happen. And so going back to the beginning of it, it's interesting. Colby Covington comes in to American Top Team. Masvidal takes him right under his wing, breaks up with his girlfriend, breaks his hand. Next thing you know, he's living at Colby's house. And at the same time, Colby was managed by Paulo Hernandez, and coached by, but like since an amateur, like basically since he was fighting on the regional scene right through. So they did a handshake deal for a 5% vig on all his fights. And it's crazy because the real beef started after Colby won the interim welterweight title. He was supposed to pay Paulo $12,500. Colby doesn't pay it. All of a sudden it becomes a problem. Masvidal's going to the gym asking Colby what's going on. Colby says, no, we took care of it. It's all good. He calls Paulo because he's out of the gym. Is it good? No, it's not good. And Jorge, feeling responsible, bringing Colby in, meshing the two of them together, pays the 12.5, and that's where the beef really begins. And I didn't really know how personal it would be, because again, I always wondered in the back of my mind, is this fabricated? Is this something? No. I don't think that even for a second anymore.
And I think you nailed right where the beef began. However, the foundation for the beef was set way before this. I mean, this isn't the first time this has happened at American Top Team.
Nope.
You had Robbie Lawler going at it with
Tyron Woodley.
And they fight each other. And then you got Colby in the media talking shit about Robbie Lawler, saying that Colby's the team captain. I know some of the people at American Top Team didn't like that Colby self-proclaiming himself as captain. And then he throws this shade at George. And he says, well, I had to get a win back for George Masvidal because he lost to Damian Maia. So I had to go get that one back for the team. Right. I mean, people didn't like the way Colby carries himself. And then he's bashing Khabib in the media, and there's a bunch of Russian guys that train an American Top Team. They don't like that, and he says that Colby backed down, and won't happen again.
Yeah, apparently Covington goes into the washroom. 4 Russians approach him. Listen, you can't be talking about Khabib like that. We're gonna fuck you up. According to Masvidal, he was like, oh, I'm just trying to sell, and it's no disrespect, and he's the best in the sport, and I respect him, and I got to bring up his name if I want to be considered that. And he gets off light, and it seems like that's the big story here, at least from Masvidal's perspective. Now, we have all week One thing I'll say is Masvidal really seems to be relishing the sit downs, the interviews, giving his side of it. We'll see how Colby responds this week. I was a little shocked at the lack of media here. We're sitting, what, 6 days, basically, once people start to see this video, 5 days out from the fight. You haven't really seen a whole hell of a lot of Colby Covington.
Well, to play Colby advocate here, I mean,
Okay.
his side of the story makes a little bit of sense too. You have both of them coming up. Obviously, Colby passed Masvidal, and he passed
Yep.
him by a lot. So he's saying that Masvidal's sitting here, he's all jealous about what Colby's been doing, and that's when the beef started in Colby's eyes. And maybe Colby actually believes that, and maybe Masvidal believes what he says. Maybe neither of these guys are really lying about where the beef started. I mean,
Yeah. But I mean, I have a hard time thinking that Masvidal's that kind of guy. When he took Colby in, was feeding him off the back of his food sponsors. Because at the time, when you can look it up, the timeline makes sense. I checked into it. Colby broke his hand, and then he went back to training and he re-broke the hand. Had to get it fixed. Masvidal obviously had 25 fights or something like that under his belt by the time Colby was really making his breakthrough into the UFC. And takes him in, because once you get to that point, that's the beauty of being in the UFC, right? You might not make as much as you make at Bellator, but if you're in a city, the local catering company is going to make all your meals for you just to be associated with you. And there's all these little costs that sponsors pick up, and it's a huge part of the sport, from regional right through to the UFC. It's one of the most expensive sports you can be in. And I don't know if a guy like that, who's like willing to take guys in, he's the guy at American Top Team. New recruits come in. George is taking them out. He's showing them the ropes. I don't know if he would be someone to get jealous like that. And you know how much I like Colby.
But
I
speaking of
Colby.
timelines, the timeline makes sense too. I mean, Masvidal loses to Damian Maia. Colby comes in and beats him. That's around where the beef started with these two guys.
It is.
And that's when Masvidal started taking kind of some shots at Colby in the media. It was Masvidal that really came out and made Colby had said some things that I would assume would piss Masvidal off, but you couldn't be like, oh, that was a direct shot. What Masvidal said, those were direct shots.
Yes. Well, Masvidal is very blunt. Like, Masvidal is like what Connor is what like Nate Diaz is. He is real. He's going to tell you exactly what he feels in that moment. He's not going to sugarcoat it. He's a real motherfucker. And he's so real that at UFC 241, Nate Diaz beats Anthony Pettis, famously says those lines about Masvidal. But before that, Covington's in the building. Their beef's already started, but it's not at the point of where it is now. I mean, you guys watch the interview. George is talking about wanting to take a bat to him, says he wanted to hit him in the face with a bottle. We're talking real personal. Anyone that knows Jorge Masvidal knows that he'll serve up, but you don't have to be a professional fighter to catch a 3-piece in a soda from Jorge Masvidal. We'll just say that. And he goes down, ask Colby what it is. What's the problem? Let's step outside and talk about it. Now, at that point, I don't think Masvidal was going to hit him, but you're Colby Covington. It's Jorge Masvidal. He says, let's just leave the arena and go outside, obviously not wanting to start. In Colby's mind, he's just trying not to start the fight there. According to Masvidal, Colby calls Dana White over after that exchange, because he ends up leaving because Colby's like, how fucking unprofessional are you? We're basically at work right now. This is bullshit. Go back to your seat. And Masvidal does. And then he sees Colby allegedly call Dana White over. And he says about 10 minutes later, Dana comes up and he's like, oh, are you trying to serve a 3-piece in a soda to Masvidal? And like laughs, or to Colby, George. And he like laughs and he's like, oh, don't do that here though. Da, 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 da. So that's when he went from like being pissed about it and whatever to like, now he looks at him like, not only that, he's ratting the coach and snaking him there. Now he snitched on him. Like, that's where the like he's dead to him thing. Dude, it's crazy. Like you said, I think what you said is correct. I think they both feel a certain type of way, and I think there probably is. I mean, there's 3 sides to every story: Colby's side, Jorge's side, and the truth, right? And the truth usually finds itself stamped somewhere in the middle if it's reasonable people. I tend to, I like Colby as an entertainer and fighter better than Masvidal. I'll tell you that just from a personal fan experience. But that said, I think I think George is probably a little more likely to tell the truth.
Well, I think Colby's a little less reasonable, and I think Colby sees the world a little different than most people see it. So I still think Colby could be telling the truth here, even though
Yeah, it's
maybe
his truth, right?
it's
So
his truth and it's not the truth. I think he
right.
really does think that Masvidal is incredibly jealous of him. Is Masvidal? I have no idea. I
Right.
can't I can't give you a 100% statement on anything like that. But I do feel that Colby definitely thinks Masvidal is jealous.
Yep, 100%. So you know the beef is boiled over. They show up to American Top Team. Um, George goes up to him again. He says, "We're gonna have a conversation after practice. You're a fucking bitch." Da, 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 da. So he starts to walk away. Allegedly, guys come in and Colby just loses it. Fucking talk to me like that. I'll kill you. Like freaking out. They get kicked out of the gym. You alluded to it earlier. Robbie Lawler, Tyron Woodley. There's been beef there before. Coaches were getting pulled in either direction. You know, a photo of Tyron getting his hand raised against Robbie gets put up in the gym. Tons of dramas happen there. Dan Lambert, the head coach, sees that happen. He kicks Masvidal out, which everyone knows. But one thing that I wasn't aware of is George got kicked out of the gym too. And if it wasn't for Dan's daughter and son, who obviously Masvidal being like, if you're close to him, you're like family, got to know them. If it wasn't for them giving him such shit at home and in his personal life, that phone call would have never happened. Because, you know, Masvidal went to Twitter, called Colby a bitch. He wanted it taken down. Dan, he wouldn't do it. But eventually, Masvidal gets his way back into American Top Team. Colby doesn't, and life goes on. I thought it was pretty funny too to find out that him and John Jones used to like kind of be friends, and then you see the shot Colby took at him this week. It seems like anywhere Colby goes and makes friends, he can make enemies, but that's Colby. I think that's what makes people like Colby.
It
And
almost seems like the coaches have done somewhat of a good job in all of this, though, because they did get Masvidal. Masvidal wanted this in the street. He didn't give a shit about the
yeah,
money and all that, and they did get to focus on get paid for it. If you're going to do
yes,
it, you might as well get paid for it. You have all this money issues with Colby borrowing money from you and not paying you back and all that shit. So you might as well get paid to settle this, which is
right,
and our entertainment. We're all going to get to see it now. Whereas in the street, maybe there ain't no cameras around. I want
right.
to watch this happen. I want to watch this beef get settled. But to ask you another question, do you think this gets settled March 5th? Do you think once they fight, it's over and they shake hands and we go back to normal here?
No, because I think Colby's going to win under the mixed martial arts rules. I don't think it's going to sit well with Jorge Masvidal. I don't see how it could. Do I think Colby will try to maybe do it? You saw him in Usman, which I thought was surprising. Usman said now that he's fought them each twice, he's like fans of both of them. So he's jazzed up for
It's
this fight
entertaining.
too.
It's
It's
a
entertaining as hell. The
story.
only thing I know for sure, Jack, is this could be one of the most interesting fight weeks in UFC history. It gives me that level of hatred, like with Conor and Khabib. I think it's going to be on that level. I think you're going to get a great photo of Dana White in between the two of them, looking like he's going to shit himself. I love Uncle Dana, but I think he's going to be. I think we could even see an Uncle Dana scared meme or two because you know, I think either one of those guys are going to be looking to run up on each other, man. But I don't think it gets settled. Do you?
No, I don't think it gets settled. I mean, Joanna Young, J Check said it. There's still that huge animosity from all those American Top Team people and Colby. Jorge is back in American Top Team. That's their guy in this fight. The battle lines are drawn. There's not many people standing next to Colby, and I think he's going to win. So I think the beef's going to continue.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, once they do that fight, if I'm Colby, I maybe stay away from down there, you know, keep out of that area of Miami, guys. But you let us know in the comments who you think is going to win, Jorge Masvidal or Colby Covington. It goes down March the 5th, this coming Saturday, UFC 272, only on pay-per-view.